Hi everyone, in this video we are going to talk about a function named as strisplit. So a student just asked me this interesting question, and she said, I have a data column that has entries like 5 years, 3 years, 2 years. What she actually wanted was just the numbers 5, 3, 2. So I'm going to show you how you can split your strings so that you can create a column that only has the information you need. So first of all, let me create a data set or just a column, a variable has 4 years, 5 years, and 2 years, and 3 years. So maybe these are the data entries we have. So if I print this df for you, you can see even though this column is about years, it is recognized as a factor because you can see it's like each entry is in quotation marks because of you added years after those numbers. So what we are going to do is actually to split this df into numbers only, and we want it to be a numeric variable. So it's not right to have 4, 5, 2, 3 in quotation marks like characters. So what we are going to do is actually very easy. There is a function called strisplit in R, so we can just type that strisplit and try to use try to do what we are trying, just do what we are trying to do at this point. So str, so you can see when you type str, this function pop up. It is called split the elements of a character vector. So we can just use this with our df or a column in your data set and let the split equals a space. So you can see mine has a space within each quotation mark, and that's my separation notation. Like I'm going to separate each character into 2 strings or 2 entries based on that blank space. If you have a dash, you should let the split equals a dash. So mine is just a blank space. So, but before I run that line, I can give it a name. So I'm going to name this as df split. Run this, and you can print out that df underline split and see what you're getting. So you can see each entry gives you one list in the output. The first one is 4 and years. The second in the list is 5 and years, and 2 and years, and 3 and years. So they are actually printing out a list for us. What we are trying to do is just to make it a normal column in the data set, right? So what we can change from there would be to name it as a data, and we are going to use a matrix. So this is a list. We don't want a list because a list cannot be combined into a data set. So we are going to unlist that df underline split, and we have 2 entries from each separation, right? So what we are going to do is to name the number of columns as 2 and make it by row. So each row we have 4 and years, and then 5 and years, just like that. The matrix here is that after you unlist that, you are creating a data matrix. So run that line, and you can definitely run this name and see what you have created. So you can see we have a data matrix with 2 columns and 4 entries for each column. The second column is actually useless. It's just the unit of those numbers, right? So what we need is actually, let me name it column 1. What we need is actually the first column or the first vector in the data matrix, right? So you just copy that name and use the first column only. First column. So the first number you are putting in is the row number and the second number is the column number, because we need all the rows and just the first column. So I'm going to do it this way. So this column 1 is actually the numbers you need. And as you can see, column 1 is still a character. It's not a numeric number. So what we are going to do is to change that to numeric. If you change it to numeric and you run that name again, you can see now there are a number vector. It's a list of numbers. If you have a data set, let me create a data set first. I'm going to create a data that is named as data frame, and I have ID, and I have a Y, and I have another column named as X. So I'm just generating a random data set so that you know if you have created that column 1, you can add that column 1 to your data set that is existing already. Like suppose that original column DF is one of the column in your data set here, right? If that is a column in your data set, I run this data function and I can print this for you so that you can see, okay, this column is confusing because what we need is just 4, 5, 2, 3. We don't want to have years because it is confusing. It is making the data set, that data column character, not a numeric. So after all these changes, after we change that DF into column 1, which contains numeric numbers only, then we can add back that column 1 to that data, and by doing this. So now if you run the data function, you can see you have a valid column 1 there, and it has all the numbers there, 4, 5, and 2, 3. You can also view this data, and you can see ID column is fine, Y is numeric, X is numeric, the original, the old DF is character, and the new DF is actually a numeric with numbers. To avoid confusion, you can also name it DF underline new. So the original column is named as DF. If you add it back in, you can give it a new name through the $sign, run that, and run that data set. You can see it is added as a new column like this, so that you can just ignore that DF and instead you can use DF underline new. So anything else, if you have another more complicated column with a lot more strings, then you can do the same thing. Only if you find the common separation notation. Like mine is a space, you may have a dash, or you may have 2 dashes. So anything in common, only if you can find them and use the string split to separate them. And that's it. Thank you.